Aloha, friends and neighbors. This is Rollin Frost, Kona astrologer. Before I get to the astrology part of the show, I want to talk a little bit about the raven, the Alala. A couple of shows ago, I featured their newsletter, and I was very critical for several reasons. And one of the things that really ticked me off was that there appears to be young ladies in charge of these big organizations that are desk jockeys and don't know a thing about the animal itself. For instance, I had a friend once, smart one, who said, when you start getting really fancy newsletters, that's a sign the organization is failing. Anyway, this is September 25th, 2018, the Alala Project. And there's about 5 young ladies in charge of the 5 big organizations. I want to focus on just one. Alison Gregor is with the San Diego Zoo Global Wildlife Conservancy and is on all the newsletters and things. There's a post office box. Anyway, here's a quote. Now, there are just a few of these ladies, like DLNR Chair Suzanne Case says this will take decades of work. Anyway, I'm going to focus just on Allison. Quote, the Alala are highly social birds that live in groups and form complex hierarchies. All this has to be taken into account, encouraging the behaviors of food training, anti-predator training, and health exams performed by wildlife veterinarians, said Gregor. Now I'm going to show you a video from the YouTube from a channel called Raven Diaries about the difference between ravens and crows. You see, Gregor thinks these are crows, highly social birds, live in groups. No, ravens don't do that, only crows. Here's the evidence. Okay, this runs about 2.5 minutes, and after this you will know the difference between ravens and crows. Ravens are much bigger, of course, but there's more to it than that.
What's that? This is the mom and dad and 5 babies. Yeah, brand new babies. Hey guys, what a nice family picture. What a nice family picture. You guys look great. Yeah, you do. Hi. I like your little fuzz head. That was cute. How about those eyes, huh? How about those eyes? Now look in the sun for me. Thank you. Hi there. Hi there. Is that a threat? Huh? Is that a threat?
Here's a quick and dirty of it. The alala is the smartest of all ravens. Ravens are the smartest of all birds. This is not a wild bird. Captain Cook talked about all the people along the Kona coast. The most common house pet was a large black bird. All the Hawaiians had 2 ravens for the house and some nenes for the yard. And they took care of all the garbage. They talk. They're very smart. They're down to a few birds. Guys from DLNR on the endangered list came in, grabbed them, and did a wonderful job. Now they're up to 100 birds, 110. The trouble is, the guy who did the grant application was not the real head of Fish and Wildlife. He was temporary, and he just signed off. And another several hundred signed off, and they got this stupid plan that this is a wild crow, and they're going to reintroduce it in the wild. No, it's a raven. It was a domestic pet of Hawaiians, and has no business in the woods. 1,000 years in Hawaiian homes. Now you understand why I'm ticked off and why I see these organizations as way off base. I mean, they don't even know it's a raven. Okay, back to business. Show 1143. And you know, I've been putting out videos every week for the last 5 years and sent them to all the bird experts with letters and the proof of what Cook and Captain King had to say to prove they were domestic birds. And you know what? Not one Hawaiian has ever called me. Hawaiians, this was your pet bird, the smartest bird in the world. You all had one in your home, too. Aren't you interested in protecting this bird from these greedy government corporate people with wrong ideas? Come on, let's have a Hawaiian call me up and say, we'll take him to court and stop this bull. Anyway, now I got that off my chest. We're going to do the last week of October and the first week of November, smack in the middle of your hurricane watch, by the way, if you haven't had one already. So there was a prior new moon at 16 Libra squared Pluto, and makes it very panicky this time. And you know, when you get to the 7th of November, there's another new moon at 15 Scorpio. It all calms down. It trines Neptune. So that's a little better. I'm getting kind of lonely. Here's my phone number, 322-3584. Call me up and tell me what you think of the show and what I should add or subtract. Okay? I'm getting kind of Saturn myself. It's on my ruler. For you, you know, this period, even if you had one little hurricane, there could be another one around November 30th to December 3rd. You're still in the zone of possible hurricanes. Okay, that's area code 808-322-3584. Call me up, let me know what you think. So I've been thinking over my life, and I've had all kinds of like Forrest Gump experiences with big groups of experts that have gone wrong and made big mistakes, like what's happened with the raven. And maybe I'll tell you more about that later. But let's get to the business at hand. Let's find out what's coming up for you in the next 10 days. I got your chart here, and you can see the sun is opposing Uranus. We had that full moon right on Uranus. And so that's one of the reasons you're in the hurricane zone and the earthquake zone. And I include twirlies like hurricanes and tornadoes because they knock your power lines down just like earthquakes do. Suddenly, you're out of power, and that's the mark of Uranus operating. It's supposed to bring you some brotherhood. Anyway, he's notoriously hard to predict. But let's see what we can do here. What else is going on in the sky mirror? Later on, in another 10 days, the sun will trine Neptune. And that's going to be kind of nice. There's a new moon there, and it's on the 7th. And I think you'll be very happy with a lot of things that happen after that. And by the way, Jupiter is leaving Scorpio. It's been there a year. Jupiter stays in one sign for 1 year. So it's been pumping up and getting the truth and wisdom about lots of Scorpio stuff. I heard one state in the East has invented a third sex, just X. So when you fill out a form, you could say male or female or X. Haha. That's Scorpio stuff. Saturn is still trining Uranus. There's some answers there. And Mars is coming into trine with Venus. So it's going to be more social and more sexy. Yep. Mercury retrogrades on November 17th for your planning up ahead, which happens to be the day after Venus goes stationary and it gets real sexy, November 16th. 2 days to remember. A sexy Venus Friday and a retrograde hard to talk, on the 17th on Saturday. So we're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it moves around once a month, it makes angles to these other bodies. These are the actors on the stage, just like Shakespeare said. Let's take a look at it day by day and see what happens. If you're watching the Thursday show, you're on the 25th. The moon is in Taurus. And it's kind of busy late Thursday night. Hard to talk. There's an opposition to Mercury. And Friday morning, not much better, because there's an opposition to Jupiter. You're not going to like lawyers and professors and all those wise people and what they say. We call them academics. And it's one of the biggest problems we have in the USA is our universities turn out PhDs. They get behind a desk, sit there for 15 years, become experts, and they make all kinds of trouble for the rest of us. I'm not in favor of PhDs, not at all. Sorry, in academia in the way that they do things. So that's my message for you Friday morning. Before lunch, the moon shifts into Gemini on Friday the 26th, and the vibes change, and it gets increasingly confusing as you go towards Saturday at just after breakfast when the moon squares Neptune. And fishy things are happening here, confusing things. I've been hearing phone rings on TV commercials in the background. Sneaky editors are putting subliminal telephone rings on their commercials. And you look at it, is that my phone? And you're looking at their commercials. It's very sneaky thing to do. But then there's nobody watching the store, huh? Saturday afternoon, here's a nice trine to Mars. Get out and do something physical. Fix something. If you haven't had your hurricane yet, get out in the yard. Police stuff up. Cut a few limbs. Well, I don't know about that. And windows aren't as important as they think. But there's a lot of things can fly around. A lot of preparations for high wind. This is a wind event. Even though Saturday morning you might think it's a water event with Neptune there. It's really a wind event. So get out and get physical. Be a hero Saturday afternoon. The moon's in Gemini, trining Mars. Nice. Stays in Gemini through Sunday morning. And there's rewards early Sunday morning. Because here is a trine to Venus. Oh, excuse me, that's late Sunday night. Yeah, each one of these little marks is 2 hours. And it starts at 2 a.m. here in Hawaii. So this is midnight, 10, 8, maybe 6 to 8 o'clock. The trouble with this Venus event, and I ordinarily say get some sweets, is as soon as you get your sweets, there's an opposition to Saturn at 5 degrees of Capricorn, and it gets cold or older, there's no time, or you're being judged for being a glutton. You'll get through it. Late Sunday night around 10 o'clock or so, there's a nice trine to the sun. And you'll say, well, it's good I was restrained. I was restrained in my gluttony. Moon shifts into Cancer at dinner time on Sunday the 28th, and that's when all the action happens. So take the sweets, don't be judgmental. But this is kind of the beginning of a hurricane window while the moon goes through Cancer. There's several reasons for that. Some of it is because we had that full moon square Saturn and a new moon squaring Pluto. So you're feeling kind of scared here Sunday night. And then you think it might be okay Monday morning, but here's that new moon, that old new moon point on Pluto. Panickiness Monday. Yeah, very panicky. And there's a full moon on Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday, I mean, even if you think everything's going to be okay Monday morning, at least up until about lunchtime, look out. Things are going to change Monday afternoon when that Pluto comes out there. Because there was that full moon, a new moon squaring Pluto. So Pluto's very energized. This Monday is a big panic. Suddenly you wake up and realize, I should have gone to the store and bought more batteries for my lantern or something. Has that feeling, that panicky feeling, see. On Tuesday, the moon's still in Cancer. And it's trining Jupiter, but it squares Uranus. Here's the windy point. Here's when I'm all alone. Did that power go out? Does my phone work? So this whole period, see, from here right through here, I've got down as a Hawaii hurricane. It continues because once the moon shifts into Libra, it isn't just these two lunation periods that I have marked out here, see. It isn't just those two. There's another one up here with, the square to Jupiter and Mercury. Can't get around. Rain. Here's Mars. Can't get out to fix things Thursday morning. So as the moon goes through Leo, you've still got kind of some nasty planets set up. So I would include all this about 5 days. And things are going to get twirly. They all go this way in the northern hemisphere. Call them typhoons in the southern hemisphere. They go the other way. Hawaiians used to say if you watch the way the water swirls down the sink or down your toilet, when you get close to the hurricane, it'll go the other way. I'll tell you one thing the animals know. The insects will start crawling up your house, and the centipedes will go under your door, and they all know it's going to hit before it hits. Sometimes there's dogs and cats wandering out in the street, and dogs and cats leave. That happened at Aniki. Of course, that's a couple of months even early. The animals will give you early warning. But here's another one from your astrologer. Here's a warning place. Yeah, Thursday in the morning, we'd all like to get things fixed, but we can't. There's an opposition to Mars, and we can't fix the things we want. And there's a lot of irritation and anger and rage going on. It continues through Thursday night with the square to Mercury. Can't talk. Too much Jupiter. Overdoing it all. Uh-oh. Finally, the moon goes into Virgo Thursday after dinner. And once that, once that happens, things calm down a little bit. Here's a trine to Uranus. Maybe the wind won't be that bad. Here's a trine to Saturn. We got organized. Our electric lines didn't go down. And here Friday, after lunch, there's a sextile to the sun. We're still getting things done. Yep. There's a little insecurity after dinner when the moon opposes Neptune. Maybe some water leaks. There could be water leaks. I have a lot of water leaks. My gutters are all plugged up. So I expect it. Here's a trine to Pluto late Friday night on the 2nd of November, and you should be able to let go of any of that panicky feeling you still have left over. Saturday on the 3rd, the moon's still here in Virgo, and you can almost celebrate Saturday night. Here's a sextile to Jupiter, and Jupiter's just leaving Scorpio. It's the last chance, you Scorpios. Get out there and celebrate and things. After that, we got a whole year while Jupiter goes through Libra. And there'll be further information about marriage and money. And you'll learn more truths about those things. Things that we're kind of significantly neurotic about in the USA. But it starts slow with here's the moon squaring Saturn. That's Sunday morning. Kind of depressive. Yeah. When people get scared, you know, they tend to buy gold. We'll see what happens. So this is Sunday, November 4th, moon in Libra. Monday morning, there's a square to Pluto, a little panicky on the 5th. But hopefully most of the trouble is going to be down here. That's what I think we're going to see. Okay, here comes your rant for the day. I've been choking on 3 problems in my past. The first one, I was at UH, and I took a BA in psychology at 4.0. I was really good at it, and most of the stuff I did had to do with astrology. So when I left with my 4.0, what happened is a bunch of professors got together and signed off on a paper debunking astrology. I couldn't believe it because these guys knew nothing about it. And yet 100 of them, PhDs largely, signed this thing. After that, they put the newspaper columns were in the back and said for entertainment only. But that's when I started a TV show. I was so doggone pissed off about this. These academics who knew nothing about it at all. And I recall a thing that happened in the British Hall of Science when Isaac Newton was there. And there was an astronomer named Halley. Remember, he discovered Halley's Comet, and that somehow made him famous enough. I mean, he was looking through a little tube, and he saw this thing, and that made... So he was in the British Hall of Science, and he stood up and made a disparaging remark about astrology. Well, what happened was Isaac Newton stood up and said, "Sir, I have studied it, you have not." Later, 100 years after Newton's death, we found 1 million words in his diary about astrology. He was using it to study alchemy, and he really knew his astrology. He was a closet astrologer. So Halley, an astronomer, what the hell does he know about astrology? Not a damn thing. Astronomy has nothing to do with it. They're just out there measuring, looking for dumb things, eating up your money. I don't like astronomers much. Now, PhDs, huh? That's what it's all about, academia. Sir, I have studied it, you have not. So that's my first irritation. And, wow. The second thing that happened was pretty interesting. I think I'm going to tell you the story because you already know a lot about the raven. This has to do with my time out there and a pesticide called Mirex. Out there, I mean, I was at the university. And I was at the environmental center. I had a little part-time job there. And just did odd jobs for them. And one of the jobs was to take EISs and farm them out to professors, PhDs, oh boy, experts. I hadn't learned my lesson by then. But what happened was big pineapple industry in Hawaii. And a lot of our islands, the whole top of the island, you know, is full of pineapple. And big industry. I remember the pineapple in the middle of Honolulu. But what happened is the ants go after pineapple. And they had and the EPA outlawed the pesticide, said, no, you can't use those pesticides anymore. One of them was Mirex, which was a deadly carcinogenic thing. Couldn't use them anymore. So what happened is all the PhDs got together in the Pineapple Institute and said, wait a minute, we can use this safely. We can use Myrex up here on the pineapple fields. And what we'll do is the little stream beds that come down off of there, we'll monitor them. We'll sample them for all the little worms and organisms in the stream bed and have them analyzed. And they also got a bunch of guys at EPA to sign off on this, and at the Department of Ag at UH. So there was PhDs upon PhDs upon PhDs, and they agreed this was a great idea, and they're going to do it. And they got the government dues to sign off, not only on Oahu, all around Wahiawa and stuff, but also think about Lanai and Molokai, and a lot of pineapple. So they started. My job in the whole thing was small. They hired a young man to go down the stream bed every month and pick up all the little organisms, the little worms and things in the stream bed. He put them in a sample bag, he split it in half, and he sent half of it to the EPA lab in Florida and half of it to the Department of Ag lab at UH. And this was happening at other stream beds too. So everything went fine for about a year, and I was a guy, the analysis would come in and I'd send them out to the PhD, to the, call them FUDs now. And then something weird happened. The guy that was collecting the samples walked all the way down the stream bed, and down here was Pearl Harbor. And he saw a fish, a dead fish on the beach, and he just thoughtlessly picked that fish up, put it in his sample bag, ground him up, sent him out to the labs. You know what? That fish was full of Myrex. It was loaded with that deadly pesticide. What happened? What happened here? Could all those PhDs be wrong? Well, what happened was it was done on corn cob bits in kerosene, and it floated all the way down to Pearl Harbor. And now mother's milk has Myrex in it. Even today, truth. PhDs.